So we're here at the Eclipse Theatre in Leicester, and we're joined by the cast and the director and the writer of Sus. Thanks very much for agreeing to see us today, guys. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start with Dawn. Dawn, could you tell us a little bit about why you brought Sus to the Curve?
Well, I'm a producer and artistic director of Eclipse Theatre, and we are a national touring company, and we're interested in taking stories from the Black British experience and sharing that with a number of cities across the UK. So that's our main remit. This play I saw about a year ago, directed by Bala Hand, at the Young Vic. I saw it, it moved me, it struck me as timely to do it again as a national tour this year, bearing in mind it's set on the night of the election in 1979, bearing in mind that the parallels between the then Sus laws and the current stop and search laws are very apparent, and it struck me at a very good time of the year to bring it out to Leicester, just in election week. That allows us to talk about the issues that clearly affect the community here in Leicester.
Fantastic. Now let's move on to the director, Bala Hand. Thanks very much for agreeing to see us. I know it's a busy schedule. Can you tell us what was the main motivation behind you taking this play and bringing it up to date?
Well, I haven't really brought it up to date. I kind of read it and thought it's perfect as it was, and really didn't want to tamper too much with it, but I wanted to kind of find actors who I felt could contribute greatly to bringing it to the stage where I can, share with as many audiences as possible, really. So, and it's a bit like what Dawn's saying. It's completely political and very current and relevant to where we are now. So I think that played a huge part in the passion behind a lot of what you seen last night. So.
Brilliant, thanks. Now I'm going to speak to Simon next, if that's okay. Now Simon, you're the one of the lead characters in it as the DS Khan. What kind of research have you done or preparation for the play? Because again, I don't really want to give anything away because it certainly moved me last night, and people need to come and see it. So, what sort of preparation would you do for a role like this?
Well, I think one of the most useful things for all of us, I think, was in early days of rehearsals. We had a policeman come in to talk to us, who joined the Met in, I think, 1980, and so was very involved in that time for the police, which was a time, I think, of great resurgence and of a feeling of invincibility, I think, that then had to be clawed back in the mid-1980s. Personally, preparation for a role like that, I think Barry Keefe has written an extraordinary play, and I think for an actor, everything that you need is actually in the writing. So purely from a pragmatic point of view, what you have to do is you have to just get to know the play very, very well. I mean, we are the ciphers through whom the story is told, and I think Lawrence would probably agree that we're catalysts for the telling of Delroy's story. It's his story, and certainly that's how I feel.
Okay. So let's have a quick chat with Lawrence. I mean, from your point of view, you've got the opposing foil, if you like, to DS Khan. How did you approach the role? Because again, without giving anything away, you actually have to get involved in some physical activity in it as well, shall we say? I mean, from your point of view, how did you actually find that?
Well, it's quite an odd role because the choices to be made are how much does Wilby believe what he says and how much is a tactic. So it's making those decisions about, for instance, he has a relationship with his dog, which is since deceased, and so how much of that is to antagonise Delroy, how much is it true? So making those decisions, I thought I looked into the period quite a bit, like Enoch Powell making speeches about rivers of blood and immigration, and thinking not much has changed. Enoch Powell, though he was sort of sidelined by the Conservatives after that, he actually spoke for a lot of people who were feeling that sentiment across the country. So, and recent events with Gordon Brown talking about people being bigots, these things are still very much alive. And so I kind of was just trying to get the temperature right of how someone was feeling in '79, and why people like this, and how were they brought up, and why do they have these views, and using irrational. Using if you know the play, using the dog as an impetus for some sort of revenge, and having these sky hooks that give you justification for your actions. So just trying to make, because it's irrational how he behaves. So you've got to work really hard to make it work and believable, I suppose.
Thank you. Now let's finally come on to Clint. Thanks again very much for taking time out for preparing. I was just saying to you, having spent 24 hours in a police cell myself, I felt it was very, very accurate. Obviously not necessarily what happens, but certainly how you're questioned and how you feel intimidated and led and stuff like that. I mean, how did you prepare, maybe the same as or slightly different from your colleagues here, to play the central character?
Well, obviously there's a lot of similarities in that you use the text to draw upon to find the truth of what he's actually doing. In terms of trying to create a character that will bring home the tragedy of being in a situation like that, I think that was part of my particular choice with the character of Delroy, was to make it as powerful as possible. I've drawn from things from my own personal experience with the police, and from the general feeling that black people have with the police. I've tried to take that and use that as something that is in the core of Delroy, because it's a black experience. It's Delroy's experience within the play, but the anger and the heartache and the humiliation, it's something within our within black people, I find personally, is that we tend to have a shared experience of this thing called racism, and this experience, this very British experience of racism, and I draw on the collective understanding of what that is to try and propel a character that can make this story as effective and far-reaching as possible.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much. I mean, from my personal point of view, it was an absolutely electric performance, and I would certainly guarantee anyone to come along and see it, as I wrote this morning on Citizen's Eye. So thank you very much, and good luck with the rest of the run, and also on your tour.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.